Sometimes we feel lost. Sometimes we fall sick. Sometimes we just feel blocked in our lives. Whichever of these three categories you fall in right now, Chinese metaphysics has a very pragmatic way to approach these things, and something that has stood the test of millennia. But in our day and age, we have a huge advantage. In the olden days, you would never have access to all three of them, let alone all three of them combined in a holistic understanding. Today, we have that. So it is this that I'm going to talk to you about in this video. My name is Octavian Sburna, and we're going to talk about a concept called the three treasures in Chinese philosophy or in Chinese metaphysics. And basically what this is about right understanding. That's one level. Transformation, healing, and development, that's another level. And the ability to manifest the fruits of these. Because if the previous two are internal, the manifestation or the bearing of fruits that these should give has to do with the third level, which is the earth level. The others were heaven and man. We're going to talk about that. So what is so interesting, and I'm so glad that we're talking about this is a very pragmatic approach. So if you want some hands-on tools to apply to you, this is a very good starting point. So stay tuned. So, as I said, right, sometimes we feel lost. Why? Because we may not have clarity of where we are, of where we're supposed to be. In our day and age, it's very easy to get confused because there are so many information, so many factors. So it's a whirlwind of stuff that pulls you in various different directions. And if you don't know what to do with your life, or you don't know in which direction you want to go, there's plenty of forces to pull you in different directions, and therefore it's very easy to become confused. Similarly, at another level, I'm a therapist. I have been a therapist for basically my whole life. I've started learning acupuncture at the age of 16, and I was very lucky to encounter the people who have facilitated my becoming a therapist. And all my life, I've seen people come to therapy looking for answers. Of course, when you get sick or someone you care about gets sick, there's a rush of anxiety, there's a rush of anguish. What's going on? Is it serious? What can be done? But the biggest question, the queen of all questions, is why? Why is this happening to me? And why am I living through this, right? I mean, there must be a cause. I want to understand. I've come to understand that actually patients coming to therapy have one thing, one desire, which almost overcomes even the desire to get better, which is to understand why they get sick. And this is encompassed in this understanding, in this three-level approach, in which, as I've said before, right, we have heaven, we have man, and we have earth. And heaven pertains to the idea of, let's say, divinity. Right? So heaven gives us the idea of we are somewhere between heaven, right? Which is why it's called heaven, and earth. And heaven is that upper dimension, which you can call whatever. Yeah, you can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it supreme spirit, whatever. It doesn't matter what you call it. That's the something above. For lack of a better word and for brevity, let's call it heaven. So the wonder about Chinese metaphysics is that for all these three levels, heaven, man, earth, these people came to a very comprehensive understanding, but not just at the level of philosophy, at a level at which they applied this into very usable instruments, very implementable, very practical uses, because each of these three levels encompasses not only the theoretical understanding, but also the tools that you can use to sort those things out. So we're going to take them one by one in this video, right? So let's start with heaven. So heaven is to do with clarity. In Chinese cosmogony, what was the story is that when we come here to take physical form in a physical body, we make a pact, we make a kind of understanding with heaven, right? And we receive a kind of heavenly mandate. It's a kind of a mission, right? Something that we could and ideally should fulfill, but we retain our free will. But the pact that we do with heaven is like that. heaven binds itself to keep us happy, healthy, and, in overall abundance and harmony, as long as we choose to walk upon the path laid in front of us by heaven. So it's as simple as that. Can we choose otherwise? Yes, but there are consequences, right? So it's like heaven puts an illuminated path in front of us and we are encouraged to follow that path. If we do, then wonderful, that's going to be nice, it's going to be good for everything, we're going to be protected, we're going to be happy, we're going to be harmonious, we're going to feel in the flow. But we don't come with a user manual, do we? It'd be good if we did. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. That's what the Chinese actually found out. That is not entirely true. If you know Chinese astrology, that is the user manual. And that basically means that each and every one of us has their life potential, their destiny, if you will, encoded in our birth chart, right? That means that the year, the month, the day, the hour of birth, and sometimes in some branches of astrology, not Chinese astrology, but other branches of astrology, the location is also important. All these come to understand, right, to give us a holistic understanding of our energetic structure, because that's the energetic imprint that was dominant at that moment in time, and that's like a stamp, that's like an imprint that is embossed on us. So that's the energy structure that we have. Some of you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, why am I defined by whatever moment in time? I want to be my own person, my own identity. Why should I be defined by the fact that I was born then? I'll give you another level. What I've said until now is, let's say, the traditional understanding. I'll give you my own version because I've struggled with that idea as well. And my current understanding of this phenomenon is like this. We are not defined by that moment. We resonate with that moment. I believe that from one lifetime to the next, we don't get lost, right? The spirit goes on and we evolve as spirits. So we do have characteristics. We learn lessons, we evolve, and so on and so forth. So there is a part of our identity that gets carried on and another part that gets discarded. The idea is that we take another physical form when we resonate with that energy's structure, right? So we have our structure, and as time flows, various energetic structures get created at any given point in time, right? And we will be born when our internal intrinsic structure resonates with that of the moment when we are born. So it's not the moment that's defining you, it's you resonating with that. Anyway, that's for those of you who are a little bit more inquisitive and really wanting to think things through and ask the difficult questions, right? Why? So this is the astrology part. And what does this do? It helps us gain clarity. It helps us understand that big picture. Remember, I was talking about feeling lost? Well, astrology, Chinese astrology, is very, very good at helping us understand where we are, who we are, what our challenges are, what our true identity is, what our strong points and weak points are. Or sometimes it's useful to go to a certain point in time. Maybe if something happened at a certain moment and you want more clarity about that, then that is also something that Chinese astrology can do. So all this is basically the heaven part. This is where you learn about what your life mission is, what your lessons are, what is the general direction, and not only the general direction, but also much more specific ones, in which you should devote your resources, time, energy, and so on and so forth, right? And I'm going to skip for just a moment the middle part where it's about the man. So we have heaven, man, earth, and we're going to skip to the earth part, right? Because that's another thing that is very easy to understand. And the easy part is feeling blocked, right? So what am I referring to? You do everything that you need to do. You do everything that would be reasonable to be done in any circumstance in order to achieve a result. And you don't get it. And you see that other people get results that you would wish for with 1/10 of the effort. It's like some people are held in the universe's lap and they get so many, and they are lavish in abundance, in opportunities. And what is most nerve-wracking nerve-wracking perhaps is that sometimes they don't even deserve it. And yet, for some reason, it's like the universe has a double standard, and for them, they are like playing the game of life at an easy level, and you're playing the game of life at a very difficult level. And any mistake that you make will be taxed by the universe 100-fold more than any mistake other people make. So that sounds unfair, but it's not really. There is an explanation. And what the ancient Chinese found, and we're talking here something again that goes back more than 2 millennia, is that the energy of the environment has an enormous influence. They called it simply wind and water. You may not have heard of this idea of wind and water, but I'll tell you what you did hear about. The Chinese names for wind and water are feng shui. So this is what wind and water is about. And the idea is that to an extent that is absolutely mind-boggling, our destiny is shaped by the energy in which we live and of which we are happily ignorant. But that got changed because the idea is that we started to learn as humanity what are the rules, what are the common denominators between those people who are very, very successful, whether that be in finances, in career, in relationships, in health. What do all these people have in common? And that was an empiric study that the ancient Chinese undertook, and that's how feng shui got formed. And then they studied what all the other people had in common, all the people that were unsuccessful, all the people that were plagued by various stuff. So they studied these people and they formed some conclusions, and that refined over more than 2,500 years. That is what today we have as feng shui. So that is the art and science of understanding how the energy in the environment that you live, breathe, eat, work, and spend time in translates into something that is supportive, something that nourishes you, into something that naturally brings harmony to you, or into something that is more akin to swimming against the current. And that means that everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And that is very, very frustrating and unpleasant. But again, guys, this is like, do you want to walk on foot, or do you want to take a car, or do you want to take a plane? Using these instruments is using this kind of leverage. Knowledge is power. It's not just a philosophy, it's an instrument to be used. It's not knowledge is power, it's applied knowledge is power. And we do have the instruments, and that's called feng shui. Why did I leave the middle part last? Because there's a deeper level, right? Why do some people who have never heard about feng shui, never applied feng shui, still benefit from a very, very good life? And ironically, if you do analyze the feng shui of those people, it'll be good feng shui. So why do some people need this kind of analysis and others are just, lucky and are born in the right circumstances? Well, I can assure you, it's never the right circumstances. Those people, if you talk to those people who are born into these right circumstances, it's easy to look at them and see the power, the ease, right? But I assure you, they all have their lessons. They all have their trials and tribulations, which you might not have. They may be better off than you on one level, but they still have their own trials and tribulations on another level, right? And therefore, the question arises, what makes this difference? And why are some people lucky and some people are unlucky? It's not about luck. It's more to do, coming back to heaven part, and then we'll link it into the man part. It's more about lessons, right? So we might be given some lessons on some realms in this lifetime, whilst being, let's say, secure from other aspects, so that we can focus our energy and attention on those. Or if you want to think about it in a different way, we have some lessons that we've learned, so we're happy on those, we're fulfilled on those, but we have other lessons that we have not yet learned, and therefore therein lies the challenge, right? So what does this have to do with the middle part? We talk about man, right? So we've talked about heaven, which is astrology, earth, which is feng shui, right? So these are the instruments that we have, but then we have man, and that is the level of personal development. And it is towards this level that everything converges, because our free will resides at this level. And the cutting edge of free will is awareness. That is where our power resides, in awareness. And just like knowledge is nothing, applied knowledge is everything, here awareness is nothing, operational or applied awareness is everything. Meaning, It's not just enough to know about some traumas that you have. It's not enough to know about what lessons you need to learn. You actually need to do the learning. And the life lessons that we have are not something that you are taught in a course. They are there to be lived. What needs to happen is that we need to live them. We need to live them in such a way in which we learn from them. Other times, it's very easy to see that, for example, some people go through repetitive relationships, right? The same pattern happening again and again. Same thing can be said about financial or career matters or whatever. We're bound to repeat those things which we have not learned. This is where acupuncture comes in. This is where final and most important ingredient comes in, because it helps us understand these lessons and it helps us transcend these difficulties. It's not without difficulty to actually learn all these, but it's about learning the life's lessons through healing, through deep emotional and spiritual healing that enables us and invites a whole new level of perspective and understanding. And this is what it's all about. Finally, and with this I'm going to wrap things up, and I'm just going to let you guys in on a very, very interesting part, which I feel very lucky to have granted this honor. I've discovered in my own research, in over 25 years of clinical application of acupuncture and learning bazi and feng shui in Malaysia and Singapore and in other parts of the world, I discovered that you can link them. The link between bazi, basically Chinese astrology, and feng shui is well known, it's well documented, it's actually used. At least all the good practitioners of feng shui always apply bazi. But discovery has entailed the link between acupuncture and astrology. That I've termed karmic acupuncture. Why? Because the idea is that we are able to create treatments which are incredibly deep, incredibly powerful. They're not for the faint-hearted. They're only for people who truly, truly desire change and evolution at the deepest levels. It's not easy. A lot of stuff is going to come up. A lot of repressed emotions are going to come up. It's so, so deeply transformative. So in my knowledge base, let's say, karmic acupuncture is for me the crown jewel. It has become for other people the crown jewel too, because it has enabled people to make all this come together, to make all these three branches come together. Bazi, which is Chinese astrology, feng shui, and acupuncture. And this is an incredibly strong method and approach to bring change into your life. So we're going to talk a lot more about this in other videos. If you've liked this, click subscribe, click a like, maybe share with someone who you might know who's actually also searching for answers to these questions. So if you found this interesting, drop me a comment. I would be very curious to read something from you. Okay, see you in the next video.